Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Nicole, this is Peace Love Yoga, and welcome back to the 30-day yoga pose challenge. Today is day 6. Today is Downward Facing Dog, Adho, Mukha, Svanasana. Downward Facing Dog. Most likely you have heard of Downward Facing Dog somewhere along the road. And so that is what we are going to work on today. And after our Downward Facing Dog, we will have the whole Sun Salutation A, and we'll put it together in a separate video. Okay, Downward Facing Dog, we are creating a V shape with our body, okay, an upside down V. So our sacrum will be the top of the V. Sorry, that was kind of awkward. Anyhow, okay, so Downward Facing Dog will be after our up dog, and we'll be pushing back to Downward Facing Dog. Downward Facing Dog is a resting pose. So in a class, you can go back to Downward Facing Dog, or they'll tell you can go to Child's Pose. So it is a resting pose, however, it is not a pose where we're going to be dumping into all of our joints and not paying attention to our alignment and the energy flowing through our body. So there's quite a few cues for Downward Facing Dog, and we're just going to take them step by step. The most important thing to note is that we're going to be getting a straight line in our back without rounding. So I'm going to have us start in tabletop, knees under our hips, hands, wrists under our shoulders, and you can take a few cat-cows here. Just warm up slightly. And from here, I want you to look down at your hands, and when you're planting your hands, you're going to separate your fingers wide. That's kind of awkward. Separate your fingers wide, and you're pushing down into the mat. You are gripping with your fingertips, but what we don't want is, like if this was the mat, we don't want our fingers, like our fingertips popping up off the mat. I don't know if you can see that. This. So we need to have a nice grip with our fingertips while pressing the knuckles inside our palm. But especially in between that index finger and your thumb, we're really pushing down in between there. The top of our arms are going to be turning out so as if our shoulders are slightly going back. In order to do that, we don't want our hands too close together, it makes it really hard to move in this position. So make sure they are about shoulder width distance. Your fingers are spread. You've got that nice grip. Now, you can adjust your hand so that your pointer fingers are both pointing forward, so kind of like an 11. They're parallel to each other. However, sometimes I will spin mine out just slightly, just to rotate that inner elbow forward a little bit farther. So I know I'm talking about a lot of things and showing you piece by piece, but we will put it together, but I just want to really show you a few things step by step before we just go upside down. All right, so our hands pushing down into the mat, our arms, hands, our finger width shoulder distance apart. The front of our elbows facing forward. Okay, now we're going to step back. And you can step back to a plank if you'd like, and then push up to that upside down V. And of course, we haven't done this before, so it'll take some adjusting to get the right placement. We don't want to be too high up here, and we don't want to be all the way back here too far. So a nice thing you can do is if you want to try, you can go from a plank position, slightly, plank position, and push yourself up. Now, your feet, if they're too close together, separate them, hip width distance. Heels are going to turn slightly out so that when you look back down here, I can't see my heels. You may be wondering about your feet. Are you up on your tippy toes? What should I be doing? Ultimately, you are guiding your heels towards the ground. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're touching, but we're guiding them down. Now, you're not warmed up today, and or you maybe tighten your hamstrings. So, as we've done with other poses, bend your knees. You can bend them a lot to get that back. So, let me see if I can get a little bit different here. Okay, so if I'm straining too much to get them down, my back might start rounding. So what I can do is bend my knees, release that just a little bit, because ultimately it's not as much about getting these heels down. We're guiding them down. There's energy, and your inner thighs are spiraling towards each other as if they were holding a block. But ultimately we're working on our back, or the position or the shape of our back. So we don't want it to be up here, we want it to be guiding down. Now our gaze can be at our navel, inner thighs, or at the back of our mat. Now go ahead and touch your knees down. And go ahead and sit back on your heels. Stretch your arms forward just for a second here in child's pose. You might be feeling that in your shoulders or your back or your hamstrings. So we're just going to hang here just for a minute. If this is a lot on your wrists also, bend your knees, because that might mean you're dumping too much into your wrists. All right, so if we can go down to the ground, all the way back on our bellies, legs are flat behind us. We're gonna go ahead and curl our toes, because they would be flat from upward facing dog. Okay, so upward dog, and then we're gonna go down dog. So we're gonna start with our toes curled under. Check the placement of your hands, your fingertips. And we're going to drive up, creating that V shape. Looking back, you can check your heels. Let's go ahead and just bend those knees. Get some pressure off the back, the lower back, and those hamstrings, and getting that straight back in our downward facing dog. Now, my heels don't always go down. Some days they do, some days they don't. They are not warmed up today, so they're probably not going down. So I would probably bend my knees a little more. Okay, so when you're here, remember to breathe. We're going to take a deep inhale through our nose and sigh it out. One more time. Give yourself a little smile. No one's looking. And we're going to release back down to our knees. If you'd like, you can push it back. And come back to a seat for standing. I'm going to stand. Okay, so that was downward facing dog. That was our 6th pose of 30 days. And you can check for a video that is Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A, where we put the last 6 days of poses together with that little bonus pose, upward salute. And we'll add in a quick warm up with our cat cows that was already done for a few days, and then a few other quick warm ups. So I will keep it within the 15-minute kind of time limit that we've set for this. I hope you're enjoying following along, and thank you for being here. Namaste.